بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه ومن والاه. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to our series on Tadabbur, or reflection or connecting with Quran, where I'm trying to share with you some of the best practices how to establish that long-term relationship with Quran. So today, of course, I only have 10 minutes max, and this is really deserves hours and weeks, but I'm not trying to be very concise, inshallah. So last week, I shared with you one of the tips of connecting with Quran, and I said approach Quran with sincerity and humility, right? We give you some example how, subhanAllah, Quran have reached both Abu Bakr and Abu Jahl. But then why did Abu Bakr accept it and follow it? And it was one of the Siddiq, where Abu Jahl, he understands Quran just like Abu Bakr. But why didn't he do that? Because of lack of sincerity, lack of humility, because of his arrogance. So we have to remember the Akhwani. Quran is a word, divine speech from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You have to approach it with sincerity and humility. And of course, the second point that I made here, you have to constantly make dua, because Allah is going to give a gift to some of us. He might not give it to anybody else, about the connecting Quran. And I'm going to share with you some of the examples today. We discussed that there are three elements for this reflection or this connection to happen. There are three elements. The first one, well, what we call al-mu'athir. Al-mu'athir, which means the influencer. And this is from the book Mafatih Tadabbur Quran. The influencer, Quran, absolutely no question, it is mu'athir. It is influencer, right? The problem we have is the other two parts, which are the heart and the method by which we connect Quran to this. I'm going to share with you in more picture so you can understand, appreciate this. The first thing, Quran. We know Quran absolutely kalamullah. Is a shifa, is the influencer. It can change our life. We know that. But then we have the heart. Our heart is talking to the Quran. The problem is we have issue with the heart. The heart is not ready. The heart is not ready. I'm going to have a whole discussion about that in next 2 weeks, inshallah, how to get the heart ready for Quran. And then we have what connects Quran to the heart is that what we call al-muwassil, which is the influencing mean, which is reading and reflecting. We have a problem with that second, the middle one, because we don't know how to connect to Quran. We might be able to read it, but we don't have a way of connecting Quran. But what's the problem? What's missing? And that's, inshallah, that's what's going to be a lecture of series of this. This series is going to continue pretty much until Ramadan, inshallah. Because what I'm going to do, I'm going to go through some steps on how to do Tadabbur, and then I'm going to give you some practical example, and then we're going to continue doing that. Then we'll start to come and read surahs like Fatiha, Baqarah, and so forth and so forth. And we're going to continue tackling those surahs. And inshallah, by Ramadan, we should be able to have some good connection with Quran. The first word that we're going to hear a lot in this series is Tadabbur. What is Tadabbur? Tadabbur is from the word dubur, which is something, the end of something. Like we say this morning, Adkar dubur is salat. We discussed that this morning. That's another series. Dubur salat means the end of salat, which is part of salat. It could be also something behind, after salat. So when we're talking about here, Tadabbur means what's behind each word. When I say Tadabbur in Arabic, what does Tadabbur mean? It means understanding the meaning and find out what's behind the phrase, what's behind the verse, what is surah is telling me. What am I supposed to do with this surah, with this verse that we read? And the reason why we care about this word, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala clearly said, Kitabun anzalnahu ilayka mubarakun لِيَدَّبَّرُوا آيَاتِهِ وَلِيَتَذَكَّرَ أُولُو الْأَلْبَابِ. Right? This is the blessed book that we have revealed to you. Why? He didn't say so you can read it and that's it. No, he said لِيَدَّبَّرُوا. This lam, which is in the red, lam al-ta'lil. I mean, this is the main reason why Allah sent this blessed book, so you can reflect on it. Right? This is very, very important this is why we have this series. The next thing that I talk about, remember that diagram that I shared with you. I said Quran, and then I said the heart, and then I said the connection between heart and Quran, right? And that's the reading and reflection. The problem is the third piece, which is the heart. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, أَفَلَا يَتَدَبَّرُونَ الْقُرْآنَ أَمْ عَلَى قُلُوبٍ أَقْفَالُهَا. He said, do they not deeply ponder over the Quran, or there is a lock upon their heart. Their heart is locked. And the heart is locked when there are so many attachments to this shahawat, to this worldly matter, to dunub, al-ma'asi, sins. It will stop your heart from be able to reflect on Quran. Nothing will penetrate the hearts when the heart is locked. So today I'm going to dive into. A lot of times people would say, you ask the brother, what are you doing? We're reflecting Quran. So I want to explain this technical reflection means. There's a difference between tadabbur and tafsir. Tadabbur, it doesn't mean you take the Quran and you start interpreting it yourself. That's not tadabbur. Because Quran is kalamullah. And it came from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to Jibreel, to the Prophet sallallahu to the Sahaba, the Tabi'een, all the way to us. And there is principle and that we have to follow to understand the Quran. So we don't just make up our own understanding. So the difference between tadabbur and tafsir is to uncover the meaning of Allah's text following specific rules, specific principle. There is something called usul tafsir. You have to understand Sharia. There's a lot of ahkam in Quran. There is a language, you have to understand language, Arabic, balagha, and so forth. And it has to be done by a qualified scholar. That's what tafsir. I want to make sure we're very clear about these two words, tafsir versus tadabbur. When it comes to tadabbur, that means you understand the meaning. Now I'm going to look at that meaning of that verse, of that word, of the ayah, and I'm going to try to extract the guidance from it. How is that apply to me? What is Allah is telling me to do? How can I apply it? And that's one of the many practices, inshallah, we're going to do this in Quran. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَلَقَدْ يَسَّرْنَا الْقُرْآنَ لِلذِّكْرِ فَهَلْ مِن مُدَّكِرٍ. Everybody knows this verse. We have certainly made Quran easy to remember. So is there anyone who will be mindful? What that means, ya akhwani, Quran, it's easy. 80% of it, you can actually understand it. Everybody know Jahannam, hellfire. Everybody know, the basic stuff. You can get it. There's no problem with that. You can get it. Then there's another level, which is only for people with tafsir, ulama, scholar. Then there's another level where no one knows except Allah. Even ulama will say, Allahu a'lam. That's where you have so many opinions among scholars. Qatada said this, and this person said this, and this, because nobody knows. So there's different level of understanding. But for us, you can understand most of Quran. Even with English, just basic English, you can get it. You can really get to the point. So today, I'm going to just take a moment, because I have 1 minute left. I'm going to take this practical, this is practice of today, right? I want you to read this. There's one section at the end of Surah Isra. وَقُلِ الْحَمْدُ لِلَّهِ الَّذِي لَمْ يَتَّخِذْ وَلَدًا وَلَمْ يَكُنْ لَهُ شَرِيكٌ فِي الْمُلْكِ وَلَمْ يَكُنْ لَهُ وَلِيٌّ مِنَ الذُّلِّ وَكَبِّرْهُ تَكْبِيرًا. Right? I want you to really read it and tell me what you think. The beginning of Surah Al-Kahf, الحمد لله الذي أنزل على عبده الكتاب ولم يجعل له عوجا. And then he said later on, وَيُنذِرَ الَّذِينَ قَالُوا اتَّخَذَ اللَّهُ وَلَدًا. I've already given you a hint I've already given you the answer. You just have to tell me. Who's volunteer? Who's going to tell me, what did you observe here? The end of Surah Isra and beginning of Surah Kahf. This is one of the techniques I'm going to teach you, how to look for similarity, symmetry, the common word, how to connect verse to verse, how to know verse. What does this verse has to do with this surah? That's the amazing thing about Quran. I'm going to show you some of the technique to do that. Now, you tell, who can take an answer? Anybody? Come on, guys. I gave you the answer right there. Who can tell me? What did you observe? Anybody? Huh? Do I reflect? Be explicit. If you look at the end of Surah Isra, and this is, by the way, you can apply it from today for the rest of your life. The beginning, the end of Surah, and the beginning of Surah are all connected. So homework for you tonight, for the rest of the week. When you go read, I want you to bring me an example of how you connected with the end of one surah and beginning of another surah. Always connected. The beginning of surah and the end of surah are always connected. And there are many books on this. It's called At-Tanasukh al-Qur'ani. وَقُلِ الْحَمْدُ لِلَّهِ. Check this out. Say praise to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then the beginning of Surah Al-Kahf said, Alhamdulillah. Say praise. And Surah Al-Kahf said, praise to Allah. See how the connected is? The second phrase is, الَّذِي لَمْ يَتَّخِذْ وَلَدًا. Right? The one who did not choose son as a son. But then, in the fourth ayah of Surah Al-Kahf, وَيُنْذِرَ الَّذِينَ قَالُوا اتَّخَذَ اللَّهُ وَلَدًا. See how the connection? Does everybody follow me, or you guys fall asleep? You guys fasting today? Okay, just making sure. So this is just a very simple tadabbur. I'm going to just have everybody read Surah Al-Kahf, right? The beginning. Let's just focus on that. Alhamdulillah alladhi anzala ala abdihi al-kitab wa lam yaj'al lahu iwaja. I want you to reflect upon it. And subhanAllah, there is one of the ulama, Fadil Samarai. I don't know if you know him. He's a great scholar from Arabic. He said it's like you and your friend, each one grab a boat. And you went to a lake to find the gems. You know, those expensive rocks. So you and Bari took a boat and you went to the lake. And you came back, and this person has, 20 gems, different color. And you have different gems, green, yellow. That's what Quran is. So you and I are going to reflect on that verse number 1, and you come to me and said, Brother Said, this is what I came out of it. This is how I connect to it. And I'm going to tell you something that might be something completely different. And that's okay. Tadabbur is unlimited. Everyone can connect to it within their own capacity, with their own life, and so forth. So when I say, Alhamdulillah, alladhi anzala ala abdi al-kitab, my reflection, the way I read this, I said, Alhamdulillah, praise and thank belongs to Allah. Why belongs to Allah? Why does He deserve this praise? Because He sent the Quran upon His slave, His abd. Who's abd? Anybody? Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. What does He call him abd? Do you know what abd is? Abd is the highest level state you can get. The highest level anybody can get is abd. That means full, 100% slave to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He does everything that Allah has given him. That's what abd. See how you connect? So now I'm saying, praise and thank belongs to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Only to Allah, the one who sent Quran upon His slave, Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam. I wish I could be like him. I'm not even near his slave. Maybe I'm part-time. I'm not even 100%. Right? We all make sense. Think about what this verse is telling me. And then it said, وَلَمْ يَجْعَلْ لَهُ عِوَجًا. This book has no crookedness. So how are you supposed to make you feel? It's supposed to make you feel, alhamdulillah, that Allah gave us the best book. It has no flaw, nothing. You understand? It will give you more and more appreciation of loving this Quran. That's how you connect Quran. It's not just phrase we read on Friday, alhamdulillah, and you go. No, you have to think and think and think. And sometimes you may have to read 10 times before you can get that gems from it. And then you go next, and you go to the next. One of the Sahabis said, I prefer to read Surah Al-Zilzala better than I read Ali Imran al-Baqarah. If I can just read Surah Zilzala, and I think it was Abdullah ibn Abbas, when he said, if I just read that and reflect on it, it's much better for me than reading the biggest chapter in the Quran, the 2 chapters, subhanAllah. So I'm just giving you an example. And inshallah, next week, we're going to talk some of the deep level on what are the conditions of reaching the Quran, how to set your mind, what I think you have to do to prepare yourself for reflection of the Quran. جزاكم الله خير سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك السلام عليكم